ETE Emitap Seni Senat Anquas the Jet Uncle Jasaneb. Dua Henry for listening. Once again, live again. This time I got a little more time to dig and delve, if you will, into the topics. You just saw the other night, we had a quick discourse with Brother Wudjau. It was a little late at night, so I didn't get to pull up all the stuff that I was that we were discoursing about. But clearly, if you watch the video, the brother had some issues with pulling out the language phonetically from what he had put. And then he had also said he had met people the whole time. When, as you've seen in our previous video, which I'm assuming they haven't watched, you could clearly see it wasn't people the whole time. It was a couple other things that came into there, such as the country itself, which is why we had to make a clarification for the term nation that he was using. We had to know the context he was using it in. The other thing, they're talking about character a lot. Everything is, oh, your character, blah, 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 blah. Let me be clear. My character is good. Two things. One, we feed homeless. Two, we look out for those of our brothers who pass away or die. And three, we're in the community, right? We just held the gang truce. I actually went out the very first time it was done out here in Colorado when there was a lot of murders happening. And me and my partner, Jam at that time, had went around and passed out flyers at a dangerous time. And we healed the community at that time. Shout out to Brother Jeff. Shout out to Star Child. Shout out to Leon Kelly. And shout out to all of the quote unquote gang members at that time, if you will, right? We went and did that. We healed the hood. Right now, my partner Terrence and Lumumba are doing that work heavily as well. So we go out and actually do stuff. So when you talk character, when all you are is like a YouTube dude or you cheerlead a particular person, you got to kind of watch your ground. You got to watch your ground because your character is generally bad. You usually say slick, sly stuff on the side. Like the gent was saying, I was lying last night concerning the conversation with Wudjau, and we couldn't even see that because we just hopped up and went live real fast. But that's what young boys would do. So what I'm going to do, in case you missed our conversation in the video before last, because I posted the whole thing, Brother Wudjau said he had the whole thing, but didn't post the whole thing. He just kept posting those parts. I'm up now, and we'll go right to the conversation again, because the brother made a statement saying he had already said people, etc., etc. But that wasn't the case. And so here, like I said, he had changed it to this. This would mean Kemet, the black land. He would say it means riparian country. So we have that. But initially, it was not that. Remember, initially, before we even get into this conversation, remember, this is stuff I couldn't really get into at night. I couldn't find it. I forgot where it was at. He showed this. Kemet, the nation of the riparian country. And so these are the people. This is the people's description. Kim, Met, meaning people. Now, remember, during that conversation, as I had told him, and which he came over here vehemently trying to proclaim, no, I met people, I met people, I met people. And it's because during our discourse, when we were having it, that's not that's not what popped up. So I got to remind the people again, and I put the link over there in the MBK chat. The conversation went more in this order, just so that is clear. And they can hop in if they decide to. It's up to them. They're doing their thing. They did another video on it this morning, I believe, and another one yesterday. So, and then Garfield was doing the, oh, he's a master teacher, blah, 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 speech and all that extracurricular stuff. So this is how the conversation went. Reminder. The question, I believe, is, though, are you saying the term Kemet as proposed to your post is not reflecting to black as a description? So you can see, I thought he was going to put the conversation up. He didn't. And my girl was in my ear like, come to bed, right? Because it would not mean nation in the sense that you have it posted without more qualifying marks. So you can see I'm telling him immediately that you're saying riparian country. And I tell him in this sense, it would be just as good as Israelites claiming their country name on the km.t stela. And on the km.t stela, there is no country name. We're only talking about people. And then I told him we do see the feminine T rule in use. So I clearly showed that nation is people. He clearly did not show that. He jumped to the feminine T rule. And then he said it's not referring to a description. And he says here, your post is not referring as black. He's repeating me, and he says, no, it is not referring to a description. So we can see exactly what he's talking about here. Then he's hopping to the feminine T rule. And I tell him the statement about the grammar and the feminine T rule is very incorrect, but we know how you feel about that. Even the fact that the word is feminine has rules to how it becomes that. So remember, this is the actual conversation. He told us the other day when he was on here. No, I immediately said people. So we're still looking. There's nothing in my comment that is incorrect. Saying something is incorrect does not make it so. You will not find any grammar book that describes the feminine gender as feminine T. We already proved that wrong. And Brother Allen had proved that wrong. And I had proved that wrong on the other video. So we know that part was wrong. We're just recapping what took place. And he says, this is due to not knowing what gender and language represent. My comment explains it in gist. And he was wrong. Because it's a feminine T rule and it was made by the scholars. So we know that. I showed it. We had a back chat conversation, which is not public. Brother Allen showed it. I showed it on the video before. I think when I showed this initially. And let's keep going. Let's just dig into it. Because remember, he was on here saying, I said people originally. But this is the full conversation. This is what, should have been pulled out. I didn't get a chance to do it. It was late. Claiming those who deal with the grammar don't recognize the rule is incorrect, not just because of my statements. We watched everyone from Massey to Faulkner speak on the rule. Budge and Bruggish speak on the rule as well. So I just named a few of the people who speak on it, but James P. Allen, there's several. So finally, he had given us the sentence. It's here. I said Mario Beatty and so on speak on the rule. And then I said, all right, now we have something to work with. And remember, the beginning of my thread is not the beginning of our conversation. As you can see, he had closed this thread off. And so I go on. I said, you going on the feminine T rule not characterize a gender, yet you use the rule to show the difference between feminine, singular, and plural. Whether you use the colloquial term or not, the rule must be recognized. So we got to recognize the feminine T rule. But let's see what he says above. He says, again, no one characterizes the feminine gender as feminine T rule. There's no need to list a bunch of names, anyone you wish. These grammars speak about feminine gender. I explained what that is many times. There are many masculine words that end with T. And we covered on the other video how those masculine words end in T. It's when T is part of the root word that's created, which is like I said, is different than the feminine T rule. And the feminine T rule covers when a masculine word becomes feminine. he didn't seem to, he, like I said, he they didn't recognize that rule, but the other night they recognized that rule. So you can see this here in the writing. We go on further. So I tell him and say, you are the only one who had disagreements. You either didn't comprehend my statements or you were making fodder about the colloquial term feminine T for gender relationship to the term km. And as we cover, here goes Sean again. Sean is like the he's your pom-pom cheerleader, B. And so we go a little further. The word above is a feminine singular collective and is properly translated as km. I did not bring up a feminine T rule. So now he's saying he didn't bring up a feminine T rule. I brought it up. I said he recognized it. He's still not recognizing it, but he says that we're using feminine genitive, which is colloquially known as the feminine T rule. And this is what happens when you have certain things that are pseudo in the mix. You have to kind of backtrack them. Feminine T is a rule. Otherwise, you don't get km. It just will be km, which is black. Adding the feminine T makes it km. Let's keep going. Let's get to, I'm trying to get to the part where we get a little further. You shouldn't mention anything feminine in your demonstration then. Somehow it found its way. And so then we go a little further because he still hasn't spoke on people yet. Concerning km meaning black in the original, no, I believe it is descriptive. I believe it's speaking about a people. So you see me right here telling him it's about a people. And that's because he finally showed the sentence in context above, which we covered. And when he showed that sentence, I know it's people. He hasn't said people or anything of the sort yet. This is the whole conversation. Your second portion with the full sentence, I still don't believe it removed black, km from the description. The terms use km.t, etc. You would be correct on. So his post, we're clearly stating, yes, concerning the term km.t, you're right, in the post concerning what you wrote. Concerning what you showed, being the riparian country, that's different. And you can clearly see, I believe it's speaking about a people. Your second portion with the full sentence, I still don't believe it removed black, km, from the description. So it's talking about the type of people. Somehow he keeps saying that I didn't know that, and he immediately meant people. How could we think anything of the sort? Let's go further. Let's see what it says. He says, this is where answering the question I actually asked would help. And you can see here right above, the question is already answered. The terms used, km.t, etc., you will be correct on. So we're talking about his post. So that's already answered. He still hasn't clarified what I asked. So I said, which I answered then, which is above. Then we had to clarify portions. Then he wants to slow walk it. So then I had to go to this, and this post here appears before this thread is shown starting. And that's because he closed the post and he cut some of it off. I said, so you need to slowly walk back to the top of the thread when I slowly, and spelled it out, TIHISIS, true. This is true. And I asked other questions concerning, is this a country, a land, or a people? And I had to show the Israel, as we had mentioned Israel before, because this one here, Yisraeli, clearly shows people in a throw stick, but they have no country. They have no country. And in the sentence, grammatically speaking, you couldn't put a country with them because they're just talking about people. And we've already shown we're talking about people. Our brother did not, he had nothing for that. The only thing he could say on here when he came, when you seen him on the show yesterday was, I was already talking about people. How could you think anything different? Why would you think differently? And this is why, because you're seeing the conversation. But wait till you get to how he answers us. And then he keeps asking the same question that we've already answered. At this point, you're dragging the post out and diverting. I asked a simple question. Whenever you see above word translated as km.t, is it done in error? Do you agree or disagree? So we already answered that question. And as we go further, I keep asking him, which of the three is being referred to? Country, land, or people? And he still has not answered. He still has not answered. And I told him, this is why we cannot be absolute. And he keeps going back to this same question, which is silly. So we can already see from what he said the other day on the show, from what actually transpired, are two different things. Two different things. So the brother, instead of saying people, he's going to all this other stuff. So I told him, I said, don't try to divert the question. Either it's right in the same category. Is this another riparian country? He said, you do this every time. You go off topic. And we're on topic. You chiming in? Y'all in here? Let's see who's in here with us. Brother Allen. So, Brother Allen, you see, we showing the actual conversation that took place right now. And this is what, remember, like I showed people, I said people. No, I said people. And you can see from our conversation, people never came out. It didn't come out. In fact, as we go a little further, he keeps arguing the point. And I keep telling him, again, to divert is not useful tactic here. Part one is answered. What are you doing with the riparian country in the Mimi demonstration? You are convoluting your demonstration if you don't want it to be part of the topic. Rewrite your denomination or remove it or talk about it. So if this brother knew we were talking about people, he should have said it. Now, y'all heard him on this show the other day. Alan is my witness. Consul is my witness. You can witness it because you all got to hear the recording. He said, I said people right from the beginning. What would make you think otherwise? Then we got more commercials. We got more commercials. These are the bookseller clique, man. I heard the book is pretty, well, I got mixed reviews so far. And then the peer review on, I think it's one of the academia sites, I can't remember, the academia.edu or something, didn't give it such a good review. But let's keep going. He creates a whole nother thread. He still hasn't said people yet. He doesn't say it for a long time. And you still see me asking him. I said, do not try to flip the topic. Follow your own rules, especially the ones you just put for the Mimi demonstration on the other topic. You tag me in. Answer the question. Is it country, land, or people? And you can see cheerleaders. Your brother Garfield is cheering. Remember, he did the video with the victory lap with him. Here goes Chikesha Koja Karemu. It's a people. So he claimed he knew immediately. And when you look at his answer to this, he put up, where's the other post he put up? He puts this post up and he's still book hustling over there, right? Watch one of the responses he gives. In the response, we're still going. In one of the responses, let me see if I can find it. I'm gonna let Brother Allen chime in. One of the responses he puts up, where is it at? He rarely shows that pic now, but he puts it up and it's in here. Brother Allen, you can see what he was doing, right?
I must see it, brother. I see it.
Yeah. So he was in there like that. And then the chat, we was in the chat, and phonetically, the whole thing falls apart because you don't have riparian country there. You only have Kemet. And they would like to take the word Kemet out of they would like to take the word Kim, the part that means black, out of the notion of Kemet altogether, which you can't do. Which you can't do. And let me find this. I'll find this real quick before we go into the other thing. And you heard any Herod is live in the chat talking about 5 million black people. Why would they call themselves black people? We're gonna get to that today. We're gonna cover that today. Who else is in the building with us? Oh, it's just us. I thought I heard somebody else coming in. So Kim is a biliteral. This is how it looks. In this sense, it's an adjective. This is what makes it a noun. This determiner takes these two, or takes this here and makes it a noun adjective. So it's a descriptive noun at that point. And it's in the vocative sense. And this is when it means people. And you see the 3 strokes on the side. You'll also see it in this format. And you cannot get rid of this adjective here. This just makes it feminine. And if you write it with the owl, it's pronouncing the 2 nouns that you would say here, which would be the K and the M. And 2 nouns put together usually make a noun adjective. One is descriptive and one is talking about the location. And one is the other noun, which it's connected to. And they're put together in this medu here, this I6 medu netra, this I6 glyph. It's medu, it's a word. This makes it feminine T, and this is the determinant. This is the determiner. This is the determinative, which is also a determiner of what this adjective will describe and what it will be, and it also makes it become a noun. Simple as that. It does it here as well. It does it here as well. And so when you have pseudo guys, and Alan, you was there in the MBK room the other day. I asked these dudes, I asked them a simple question. I said, how does a biliteral become a noun adjective? I told them, you got 3 minutes. After 18 minutes, they still ain't answer. They still ain't answer. And so what we have is, you got a lot of guys who make up the scholarship as they go. You're making up scholarship. You're making stuff up that's not actually there. If you're going to say riparian country, you have to say iat kemet. And that's used 7 times grammatically. It's called iat kemet. And it's actually not even iat kemet, pardon me. I'm saying it backwards. It's kemi iat, which means the black is in front of iat, because it's also a noun adjective, I believe. But it says kemi iat. And so if you don't have that combination, and it's only used 7 times as a place name, for the term Kim, you see that used 24 times. For iat, you see that used 7 times. So this isn't rocket science at all. This is simple information. Anybody linguistically is still calling Kemet the Black Land. They say phonetically it wasn't done, but if it wasn't phonetically done, you couldn't enunciate or pronounce the words. If there was no philology done, as they suggest, as Wudjau suggested in his post as well, you wouldn't have the Greeks' understanding of it being the Black Land in the first place, would you? Would you? How would you get that? How would Kemi become black in Demotic? How would Kemi become black when the Greeks understand it? And why would they call it the Black Land? Makes no sense. And it even goes over to India and Kush. When you start talking about Kush soil and you start talking about Kush India, they also have the same situation happening with this term Kemi, except for they have it's a different enunciation of it. And one of their gods, I want to say Shiva, or one of the gods, has it as well. still black land. And they tell you it derives from Kemet's old name, old place name. So it's a toponym, the complete land. What would you use to show the complete land? And when in the text was it referred to as the complete land? Never. Never. So, like I said, go ahead, brother A.
Yeah, man. That's what I wanted to ask you, right? When you looking at all those words, Kim, especially that one that says complete, right? Why doesn't that word mean black?
Exactly. They and here's the thing, it says complete or burnt to an end, right? So the completion of a book, which we're not talking about a book, or it means black. But for them, they want to say it's, it can only mean complete. It can't be, there's no toponym for complete land. Remember, Iyat supposedly means waterway, even though the determiner at the end, which is here. Let me share. I'm gonna share the screen again. This way we can look at a few different ones, and then we can break them down. So when we look at this here, they have to be the only, and they're non-Egyptologists. They have to be the only non-Egyptologist that believes this isn't black land. And this Medu here, right here, this determiner here, this they say stands for land.
Right. I want you to get into that. That first glyph over there. That's I6, right?
Y'all, I6 is right here, the Kim glyph.
All right. So that's supposed to be some crocodile with spikes or crocodile, whatever,
Right.
some spines or whatever. Then some say charcoal burning. What made these people say that term right there phonetically means Kim by sound, and what made them say that by itself is black? Can you give me something to
So
with the
if we go so if we go burning wood, which is what most of us define it as, we say it's burning wood, or we say it's like they say a crocodile's foot. I would say the hippo's foot, which generally has the black mud on it. And I would call it, initially, I say burnt wood. But if we give it another term, because they say it also corresponds with aquatic animals in the water, which is where they're getting that it could be the crocodile skin with spikes pointing out, or his foot. The only thing that looks like that is Amit's foot. And Amit has a crocodile head, a lion's body, and a hippo's back parts. And so when you see the Medu Necha with her foot turned up, it looks like that. I showed it on the video before, the one we did with Wudjau. So if we also pull up the alligators or the crocodiles in the Nile River, in the Happy River, they got mud on their feet. So it looks like that also. But if we look at it from the standing of an ending, it's usually burnt wood and it's burnt charcoal. We also have, like, if we go, let's go here. We have the black Apis bull, which was a sacred cow. And so when we go to the sacred cow, the black Apis bull, we pull up, let me see if I can pull one up real quick. Let's pull up Kemet. Not Kemet to Miles. We can let's go to, I think Wiki has a good picture of a cow and one of the walls real quick. Let me see. when we pull it up, yeah, here it is. We'll pull this up. It's going to describe the cow. And when it describes the cow, there it is right there. As soon as it clears up, boom. So you can see the Kim marker right here. And this is probably what makes them think it's a crocodile foot. Because Nectanable's Nectanable has a Tekenu, or an obelisk, if you will, and it has the crocodile's foot. But it looks more like Amit's foot, which is a hippo foot. So this here means this particular cow is black.
Gotcha. So it's because, all right, then it's because of that. All right, cool. So what about the part where, since you on that page that you on, when it speaks about incompletion or Kimi Uri ending something in black ink?
That would be like writing a book. So it would have nothing to do with the place name, right? So when it says Kimi Iyat right here, like right here, this says Kimi Tawi. You know what Tawi means, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's land. And what does Kimi mean?
Black.
Hello. Now, it says Kimi Kemet.
Okay.
See, we didn't even get into these yet. I ain't go that deep into them. I asked Sean and them to explain them when we was in the MBK room. I said, what is Kimi Kemet? Describe these 7 toponyms right here. And this is in the demonic. So what's Kimi Kemet? If it doesn't mean black land, what is the Kimi part? If it doesn't mean black land there, what is the Kemet part?
Gotcha.
Now, here's Kimi Iyat. This is the one that they like to use. But that's not what you're seeing with the people. But we just needed to have him pull a statement, say your statement. I had already said people. I said people the whole time. But all we got to do is show the conversation. And I didn't get a chance to get into the conversation. It was a little late. So now we early. Now we early. And the cheerleaders was lying on the side as if they didn't show. So Sean, you a liar, because you was posting in the same comment section with me and Wudjau, and you claim he never said that. You claim he never at one time didn't say it was people. And the crazy part is, where is it at? Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up. This is what he answered me with, and this is what threw me off. And this is what I was telling. I said, you answered with that other meaning, and that's what threw me off. But y'all couldn't see it because I didn't show it. Like he was at his computer, he was ready. We was over here. We had already chopped it up for some hours. So we just giving you the reprise so you can see where they messed up at. And then we'll go into place names real quick. Do a quick video on the place names. So I want to say it's right here. Let me see. It's the feminine T one. Let me get this out the way. He shows the second Mimi right here. So he answered me this way. And I want you to, we're just going to read this out because here's the confusion. He said, I should have never been confused. This is what he changed the meme to. It says, during the 11th dynasty, the Ramech started to refer to their place of residence, their home, their kingdom by the name Kemet. Kemet, Kemet. Therefore, is a place name, a toponym. Toponyms refer to or describe places and never people. Never people. Even eponymic toponyms, which are place names named after a person or people, still refer to places and never people. So he says that twice in here. Then he says, anyone attempting to argue that the name for the ancient kingdom of the Nile Valley we know as Kemet means black people is either ignorant of toponym or purposely misinforming the public. Kemet is so named for its topographical and ecological situation within the Nile Valley, that being a riparian zone inhabited by one of the world's most advanced civilizations of African people. Let it be known, let it be remembered always. So at the end of our conversation, he tells you, now, you know, I disagree with you calling it Kemet and meaning black land. And I said, I know, we've been had that disagreement. And this is why. This is why. So he says Kemet, meaning black people, is incorrect. Kemet means black people is either ignorant or toponymy or purposely misinforming the public. Why would you answer me with this? It says toponyms refer to or describe places and never people. So he put this in the middle of our conversation, and it threw me for a loop because nation means three things. It can either mean people, it can mean country, or it can mean the people and the country together. It's like American, Americans, and America. And you say, I'm going to the nation of America. You're not going to visit people. You're going to the land. You might see people when you're there. You say, I'm going to visit an American. Now we know you're going to visit people, okay? Or a person. Here, you've convoluted the conversation. You threw me off. So when he does this here, he said he was talking about people the whole time, right, Brother Ra?
Sir, I'm listening.
He told us he was talking about people the whole time, Brother Ra. So if you're talking about people the whole time, what made you answer me with this? You're not making sense. You're not making sense. You're not making any sense. And so when you do this, and then I have to go into what's going on, and I have to ask you, is you referring to people or are you referring to the country? And you can't tell me for a whole thread, but you come in here telling us you meant country the whole time. We got an issue. Phonetically, let's now, since we already know that there was the lie there, Sean, you backed them, so you would be lying too because we see you posting books in here. So you can't say you wasn't there. There you go, right there. This is Sean. He said I was lying last night. We couldn't see the chat. I can see the chat now. What's popping now? So he said that. Our brother Chief X said the same thing. So Chief X, maybe you didn't see this, you get a pass, but know that if you agreed with this, you were lying with Sean, because Sean knew you may not have. I didn't see you on this particular thread. I didn't even see you on the second thread. But you convoluted the point. So as soon as you did that, you switched it from people to country. So you got an issue. And that's why you felt a certain way about that second video I made. And remember, y'all, because some people is, taking stuff to heart. Don't be taking this stuff to heart, man. These are discussions. These are bills that need to be had. Because if we don't have these bills, we can't get to the bottom of what's really going on. And so therefore, this is what we see right here. This is your brother right here. This is what's popping. What was that? Night before yesterday or yesterday night, whatever, whichever one. He was so sure. He said people. And remember, Ra, I asked him, I said, you got the conversation? He said, yeah. He ain't show none of this. He ain't show none of this. Picking spots. But don't pick and choose spots. Just show the whole conversation. Just like this. And y'all can rewind it. Hit the pause. Break it down. See right here? All that stuff right there. He put it in there. They selling books. He doesn't say people until like the very end of this conversation. And that's why I said before, this is probably an issue. And here you can see feminine T again. Brother Rob Bourne showed you feminine T the other day in the chat. I showed it on this video, as you can see right here again. I showed it in about 3 different grammar books. This is James P. Allen, feminine T. Remember, he said no scholars say that. So there's just some holes in the reciprocation. You know, you try to give a brother, let him slide a little bit, you know, because he's made some, there's some conundrums here. There's some conundrums. Before I get into the presentation, because there's been some more things, and you heard the brother say when I said if we live by Blue Nile, he said I said if you live by Blue Nile, we wouldn't be named the Blue Nile people, and this is because some of his followers are making statements and things of that nature like that. So you even heard Any Herod say it. You heard Sean say it. Typed it right in the post. It's on the last video. He says 5 billion black people living in one. They wouldn't call themselves black, saying stuff like that, right? But you need to know something. When in ancient times, when you did something and you were known for doing that thing, that's generally what they called you. If you did a righteous thing, they would call you, you know, they would call you of the things that you did. If you were a hunter, they call you a hunter. If you were a sower, they usually call you some type of sower. If you lived in a rugged area, they would call you by the name of something that you were known for. So let's go into the word tier real quick. The term tier means rock, okay? It's from the noun sur in Hebrew, which means rock. And those who lived in Tyre, and we'll get into them in a minute, but Tyre is the Greek Latin name for the famous Phoenicians. So we're talking about the city of Phoenicia. And the city, often mentioned together with Sidon, it still exists today, being situated south of the coast of Lebanon, just north of Israel. And of course, they go into some biblical stories. But the name Tyre could be considered a Hebrew equivalent of the Greek name Peter. And when Jesus said that upon this rock, he would build his church, his original audience doubtlessly remembered how Solomon built the temple of Yahweh on the rock of Phoenician knowledge and resources. So the term Tyre means rock. And I believe he gave an analogy before. We wouldn't be called the rock people, right? So, and these are all in the Seshu Ma'ani Medu Necharum. So it says here, the Semitic and thus original name for Tyre is pronounced Zor or Zur. In biblical Hebrew, this name looks, wait for it, exactly, I need a new computer. Exactly like Zor and of the root groups, and I don't speak Hebrew to know what that other word means. More specifically, scholars assume that the Hebrew name for Tyre equals the regular word Sur, meaning rock. In Deuteronomy, the author compares the gods of the nations to the living God and says, indeed, their rock is not like our rock. So the word Tyre basically means rock. And that's because if you've ever been to Tyre, you'll know that it's like a big rock fortress, right? And as soon as my computer gets it together, we'll go into this. Otherwise, we'll end this one here. We'll come back in a few. And my computer get it together. It's thinking on me. There we go. So that's Tyre. Let me get rid of that real quick. I'm on computer. I'm on computer. Let's do that. Let's come right back. X out of that. All right, thank you. You know what? We'll do that separate. We'll do that separate because it's acting a little bit crazy right now. It's acting a bit crazy on me. But anyway, we've already broke that down.